Nashville, Tennessee. I'm outside the Country Music Hall of Fame. I don't think I've ever been here before. I can tell you John Cullen is not here. The pseudonymous super troll who fooled us all. Not all. Some people right away said, oh, he's a Fed. I mean, again, a broken clock is right twice a day. Look at this very sinister looking AT&T building. Reminds me of a building where? Maybe San Antonio, Texas, with the pointy Batman kind of look. I don't know that much about Nashville, Tennessee. This video is not intended to be your definitive guide to Nashville, Tennessee. I have a strong feeling that if you went on to YouTube or Google and said, hey, Nashville, Tennessee, you could learn a hell of a lot more about it than I know or than I would know. Somebody said to me, you know, I did a video the other day from Kansas City, Missouri, and somebody said, oh, get on to Google, you know, learn more about the city before you go there. Why are people telling me what to do? What makes strangers on the internet think that I or anyone should listen to their advice? You know, it's the only advice I can give people is don't watch if you don't like the show. Like, why? Like, I hate you, I hate your show, I dislike your approach. Do it like this. Just click off. There's a million videos on YouTube. The only advice I ever give people is for them to become sponsors by going to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or to follow me on X at JG_CSTT. We've got, this is like a mini, you know, walk of fame over here. I guess it's the Country Music Walk of Fame. Maybe you know who these people are. Most of them I never heard of. Reba McEntire I've heard of. I don't know most of these people. But this is a good place to go if you like country music. It's a nice day. There's people playing soccer in the park. I just wanted to stop off here to let people know that John Cullen is not here. The purpose of this Where's John Cullen series, it wasn't to go around and search for him. I already knew where he was when I started doing this. And then the other thing is, some people are in there saying, oh, stop doing this, you know, get back to doing something people care about. Like, what does an individual fake named person on YouTube or Twitter, why do they think they are the spokesperson for everyone? Did you go around and take a poll of the thousands of people who watch these videos and say, hey, are you interested in hearing about Where is John Cullen, or would you prefer to hear something else? I mean, it's literally like going into a restaurant you don't like, and instead of just saying, you know what, I don't like that place, I'm not going back there, you just start telling them, like, give them new recipes and force them to cook different food. Why don't you become a Chinese restaurant instead of Italian food? Why don't you just go to a Chinese restaurant, is my point. The purpose of this series of videos I'm doing about Where is John Cullen is ultimately to reveal what I have learned based on looking at evidence in the public domain that causes me to believe that the pseudonymous malicious super troll known as John Cullen is not a benevolent independent journalist going viral, discovering things about Vegas and Butler, PA, and Charlie Kirk, but rather, in my opinion, love the C8. In my opinion, the guy is a contract intelligence operative. And, you know, he's like a freelance social engineer. And I thought we were friends. It took me a long time to figure this out, But now I think when Charlie Kirk got murdered, I became his contract. And when I figured that out, I think he ghosted, vanished from the internet, and then very quickly had to reformulate his plan. Because when I say I became his contract, I mean whoever it was that contracted him said, hey, get Jason to shut up about ISR drones and Bluetooth low energy exploits that disrupt Adam Bartholomew and drones that we see in Adam Bartholomew's video. I say that because so many people came at that information. Blake Bednar's came at the information not from a place of goodwill and true curiosity, but rather to try to shut it down, inject falsehoods in the same way that George Webb does. They get all over a story and then make it as ridiculous as possible by saying the microphone exploded. Oh no, Jason, the microphone exploding, that story is gaining traction. Well, I don't think so. I spoke to Matthew Bowden, the audio freak, email exchange, DM exchange, and I said, Matt, if there was this shaped charge exploding in the microphone, wouldn't you have been able to detect that and localize it with all the different techniques that you've been using? And he said, absolutely. And there's no way that the microphone exploded. That evidence augments what we see with our own eyes, which is that there's no explosive residue, there's no smoke, there's no flash. The puffing of the shirt is so localized to the collar. See, in my view, if there was an explosion under the shirt, the whole shirt would puff out. It wouldn't just be that little area. It's very windy here. Maybe we don't want to walk up there. It's just a Marriott hotel and a lot of wind. But in other words, to me it looks like his necklace is disrupted and it's disrupting the shirt. The necklace is shot, hit by the bullet in one way or another. But that's not what we're here to talk about. The point is there's a lot of people putting a lot of junky information out around the Charlie Kirk murder because part of the technique of social engineering is to just confuse the public, fill the information space with nonsense so that the average person doesn't know what to think, and they just say, well, I'll just believe the FBI or whatever it is. So again, the purpose of this series is to lay out the evidence that I have found that causes me to believe that John Cullen has been dishonest with us, that he was trying to destroy me. So people say, oh, you're butthurt, you're jealous of him, or, even sometimes people, there's all people who want you to be nice and friendly, and they say, oh, well, Jason, maybe you guys just had a disagreement and you can work it out. I follow you both. I'm a very, everybody likes me. I don't like conflicts. Jason, you're always getting into conflicts with people. This is not what it's about. This is not, you got into an argument with your neighbor and go make them a pecan pie and go over there and apologize. This is a treacherous underworld of deceitful liars who are essentially engaged in public, I don't think espionage is the right word, but it's, this is exactly like Operation Mockingbird. People who are set upon us to inject false information and fool you about what's actually going on. And so I believe when I'm getting close to the truth, they want to attack that. They want to destroy that information, take me off the internet. We know that that's one of their goals. So the other day we went over all those tweets that John put out that I believe were calculated to get me sued, definitely get me kicked off of X. And I mean, he's not an idiot. He knows what he was doing. I didn't tell him to put those tweets there. And when I asked him to remove those tweets, he didn't say, why should I remove them? They don't have anything to do with you. He knew what I was talking about. He was deleting the tweets. And then when I emailed him, hey, here's this one with my picture in it, he didn't say that's not your picture. He didn't say that tweet has nothing to do with you. He didn't say that tweet is important to me and I want to leave it there. He just took it down right away and said he was sorry. And he didn't come out and tell you, some of you, his sponsors, hey, I've decided to leave the social media game instead of you guys continuing to pay me for the next 2 months while I produce nothing. Why don't you save your money because I'm going away and not going to be posting anything. But he didn't say that. You know, I frequently remind people to subscribe. Oh my gosh. On subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or to follow me on X and subscribe there at JG_CSTT. Airstream. A little Airstream with coffee in it. You know, we went camping with Cullen. We stayed in his Airstream. It was the first time I've ever stayed in an Airstream. And it was an incredibly enjoyable time camping with him. Again, I thought we were actually friends. Here's something pretty Nashville. Tour the city in a monster truck. I like it. I would do that. You get to drive over other people's cars with that. We did a commercial with the Iron Bandit one time. It was a commercial for Mini Cooper using the Iron Bandit. Look at what we have stumbled upon here. Booyah. A lot of people noticed Cub Keller's hat was super Masonic. I noticed that towards the end of the interview. I don't know what to make of that. He and I discussed it off camera, and I said, oh yeah, it looks pretty Masonic. He said, well, but it isn't. I didn't want to get into it with him. He seems like a super nice guy. Perhaps he'll come back on the show and people can ask him about that. But what do we have here? Is this the Freemason Lodge in Nashville, Tennessee? I guess it must be, right? Oh man, and then is that the police station right next to it? Doesn't that look like a police station? What is that? First Museum. I guess it's a museum. I don't know. Maybe that was a police station at some point. Yeah, this is the Grand Lodge of the Masons. Perhaps that's quite coincidental. I don't know. Somebody said Cullen is a Mason. I don't have any information about that. I think he said his grandfather was or something like that. I hope this guy knows what he's doing crossing the street. But yeah, the purpose is to share what I've found out about Cullen. And the other thing that people were saying to me is, oh, look at that, Lafayette's tour. On May 4th, 1825, Central Lafayette was received at the Masonic Hall by Wilkins Tannehill and was made an honorary member of the lodge. All right. I don't know why that's important. But I don't know, people, I mean, again, someone, you know, I could have researched this and figured out that this was here, but I find it much more fun to just happen upon these things. See, and this is weird too, ancient and accepted Scottish rite. See how it's got the six-pointed star? Star of David. I don't know, why is that associated with Masons? There's a lot that we could learn about Masons. I don't know about it. Actually, I want to read that sign across the street and see if it says this used to be the police station. This kind of reminds me of Philadelphia where we are right now. It's a tow-away zone. One of 6 children, Betty Mae Page, graduated from Hume Fogg High School. Well, what does this have to do with anything? I don't know. But we're in the middle of something here in Tennessee. I would say. It reminds me of Philadelphia. Not all the motorcycle racing. What does that say? Customs house. Interesting stuff. But the other thing, people are saying to me, oh, stop doing this stuff about Cullen, get on to other stuff. No. This is what I'm going to do. Don't watch it if you don't like it. But so we went over those texts, those tweets that Cullen sent. Is this a barbershop quartet society? It's interesting. I really don't know anything about Nashville. I mean, part of my hope is maybe this video will inspire you to look into Nashville. It's not about me knowing a lot about it and telling you stuff. The city really just serves as a backdrop for this video about Cullen as I walk around and tell you what I've discovered about Cullen. There's so much wind, it's crazy. So, yeah, it all basically came about. It had a very social engineering kind of feel to it, because first I felt that Cullen was trying to engage in social engineering by getting me kicked off of Twitter. And then, he can go on to various podcasts and say, oh, Jason's great, but then put out a little tweet here or there that gets me kicked off of X. And then, just as George Webb used to do, he comes off looking like a nice, magnanimous guy, and everybody says, oh, Jason, I don't understand why you're so angry about this. These guys are super nice to you, but meanwhile, they've gotten me kicked off of social media platforms. So we got that all taken care of, and then, Cullen, if I'm correct, he would have found himself in the uncomfortable position of having failed his mission of getting me kicked off and needing to come up with a new plan. So it seems like he quickly pivoted to, oh, Jason, you're threatening to dox me. I never threatened to dox him. What I said was, you need to remove this tweet that's using my likeness. You're not allowed to just use people's likenesses for whatever you want. Or at least that's what I would have alleged in a civil action. I don't want to go into the details of what the cause of action would be, but I told him that if he didn't do away with the tweet, my next step would be legal action against him. I asked him several times through normal methods to remove this upsetting post, and he wouldn't do it. Or he was ignoring me. Super windy today. So I had to escalate. I don't go to the nuclear option right away. I just ask politely at first, and then when people don't comply or aren't polite with me, then it escalates. So we heard yesterday, I called his daughter, and somebody was like, oh, that's low. You called his daughter. First of all, his daughter is in her 30s. She's an adult woman. She didn't have to take the call. She didn't have to talk to me. And by the way, I was polite. She was polite. I have no beef with the guy's daughter. I was legitimately trying to figure out what the hell was going on with him and where he was. I think it's a sad situation for that whole family that the father and daughter don't get along. I'm not trying to antagonize her. This guy was the mayor. Stouffer's Dinners, Nashville Hotel. So, I just called her because a lot of people, maybe also social engineers, I don't know who they were, a lot of fake names. Is this a Hellcat? It is. So is this 880 horsepower? Something like that. I think they go over 1,000 horsepower, some of those crazy ones. Look at the wheels. I was legitimately trying to find out where the guy was. My first step was people were like, oh, where is John Cullen? Where is John Cullen? So I called him. Other people were communicating with me, telling me, hey, he normally responds to email. It started getting my attention when serious people, You know, Nurse Amy, question it. What's her Twitter handle? I think question it, Amy. She's a nice person I've interacted with. She did a lot of work with Cullen on the COVID stuff. And she said, hey, have you heard from him? He normally responds to my emails and he's not responding. So what's with that? Why is he not responding to an email from that kind person who's helped him because he's got a beef with me? How does that make sense? Why not tell her, hey, listen, I don't want to spread this around, but I'm going off the internet and Jason did X, Y, and Z. You can tell someone something in a private email or a DM that doesn't have to go wide on the internet. And then the whispers would come around like, oh, Bubba's lamb chop spoke to him, question it, Amy spoke to him, he's all right, he's just not posting, he's taking a vacation, he's got an illness, there's somebody in the family with an illness, whatever it is that's going on. There's a way to communicate that stuff, and I just don't think that what he was doing was consistent with any of that. So when a certain number of these communications had reached me, and it started to become an issue of people who I appreciate and have respect for, asking me serious questions, saying basically, hey, you're the only person who has his phone number, can you call him? And I was calling him and he wasn't answering. Around Thanksgiving, I started to become concerned that, well, maybe something did happen to him and it was just coincident with the day that he and I had an argument. Maybe he's injured, maybe he's unwell. Let me try and find out. So I called his daughter. She didn't know where he was. She said, get a wellness check, right? If you missed the video yesterday, I had this text message from her, which says, his mom is suggesting you call the police for a wellness check. That wasn't my idea. She told me to do it. Now you say, oh, Jason, other people tell you what to do and you don't do it. It's a little different. I called her, asked her if she knew anybody I could talk to who could tell us what's going on with him, and her ultimate answer was, no, call the police. You know, so that indicated to me that they either didn't want to reach out to him or couldn't reach him, but that they didn't have the answer. And so my next step was to call the police. Let's listen in and see how that all went. I think people are going to find this absolutely fascinating.
Sheriff's Office. How can I help you today?
Hi, I'm calling, I suppose, for a wellness check. I'm not sure if you cover the area of...
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So I had sort of a falling out with a friend of mine on October 13th, guy by the name of... And I believe he lives at with his 91-year-old father. He's about 61. And the last time I spoke to him was October 13th. As I said, we had a major falling out. It would bore you to go into the details. But this guy is generally pretty active on social media. And the only reason I'm calling is that people have been all over me because I'm apparently the only one who has his phone number. And I've been calling him and emailing him. And as I said, he normally is posting constantly on social media and hasn't at all since October 13th. So I called his daughter, who he's estranged from, and she just said she hasn't spoken to him in years and I should call the police and do a wellness check. I also tried his father's cell phone number, but as I said, he's 91. So, I mean, I'm not calling an emergency or anything like that. I don't know what the hell is up with the guy. He's been kind of like blank for a month and a half.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Jason Goodman.
Okay. And your date of birth? Okay. Do you know when the last time anyone had heard from him?
October 13th. So basically what happened was he and I used to work together. We do a broadcast, podcast show. And I discovered that he'd been lying to me about something rather important. So I told him that if he didn't correct it, he operates under a pseudonym online, and he's going to be very upset that I'm calling the police. And I don't expect that he'll do anything, he's a normal guy, but he's going to be, if there's a way to not tell, don't be like, oh, Jason Goodman told us to come over. That's not going to make him too happy. But I basically told him, you got to correct this thing, or my next action is I'm going to sue you, and that's going to force me to reveal your real name. And he goes by John Cullen online. And like I said, he's normally on on X, Twitter, every day, constantly. And we used to do a broadcast show once a week. We stopped doing that, and he used to do his own shows, but hasn't. And as I said, the only reason I'm even calling, like, look, if something's wrong, I can't do anything to help him. But, everybody knows that he and I worked together for like 8 years. So there's a lot of people saying, why don't you're the only one who knows his real name. Why don't you call the police? I called his daughter. She doesn't care to speak to or about him. So I don't know what's going on with this guy.
All right. Do we know of any medical history of concern for him?
No, I mean, he's a little heavy for a guy who's 61, but that basically describes 90% of everybody. I mean, look, I have to be honest with you. I know he has a lot of firearms in the house that are legally owned, and as police officers going there, you should know that.
Okay. Do we know of any dogs on the property?
I do believe he owns 2 dogs.
Yeah, okay. And do you know what he drives? Do you know what vehicle should be there?
The last time I saw him, which was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, what is that SUV Porsche, the big one, Cayman or Cayenne, or I think a Porsche Cayenne he had. Let me just look that up for a second. Porsche Cayenne, I'm pretty sure. It's an older Porsche Cayenne. Okay. But I don't know. Maybe he sold that Porsche.
What is the daughter's name and phone number?
I don't know if she wants to become involved, but
okay.
Yeah. She basically told me, like, piss off, go call the cops.
Okay.
She doesn't speak to him, so that's sad.
All right. Sounds good. I do have that information. We'll go ahead and do a welfare check out there. I did put you as anonymous just because you didn't want to provide that information to him. But we will give you a call back with results.
I tell you what, if he asks you, you can tell him that it was me. Because if it's anonymous, that might make him even more upset. He's very secretive. Like I said, he operates under a fake name online. Yeah. And, I mean, look, my personal opinion is, take this for what you will. My personal opinion is, on this latest thing that we were working on, someone paid him, convinced him, whatever, to do something to try to ruin me. That's what our fight was over. And I think that's correct. And so when I threatened to sue him, he knows I get involved in a lot of legal cases, and when I threatened to sue him, I think he feared that his true identity would be revealed. My personal opinion is that he's fine, and he's just off the internet, maybe, leaving this social media business and going to do something else. But like I said, his daughter doesn't want to talk to him. Nobody at all has heard from him. Nobody else who collaborates with him. Nobody collaborated with him on a close level that I do, and as far as I know, nobody else in the social media sphere knows his real name. So a lot of people have contacted me and, told me I have some sort of obligation to do this. If anything has happened to him, is that something that you can tell me? Would you guys call me back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I'm interested in finding out. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
And when I realized that he had essentially double-crossed me, when he realized that I had figured that out, I think he just decided it's time for him to go away. That's what I think.
Okay. No worries. We'll go ahead and check on him, and we'll give you a call back with that, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much. So before anybody gets upset about me going to the police, if he had just communicated with anybody, it would have never gotten to that level. Nashville loving their supercharged Hemis. Got a TRX right here. This is like the Raptor killer. Nice. Now wait a minute. What's that? See, anytime I see something like this, I'm very curious as to what more is there to this thing than meets the eye. Maybe other people will know. But anyway, that was the day after I received information, that text from his daughter. So that was like November 28th that I called the police there. And then I got a phone call back. By the way, sorry about those sensor beeps. They're pretty loud in headphones. I turned it down when I was editing that video, but I apologize to people. There are more of them coming up. Anytime his name is mentioned, again, I hope people realize I'm going to great lengths to hide anything that would identify the pseudonymous super troll John Cullen. Again, I could do that if I wanted to be malicious, if I was trying to dox him. I'm obviously not. I'm not here to hurt anybody. But anyway, I got a phone call back from a sheriff's deputy later that night.
Hi, this is Deputy Sheriff's Office. Am I speaking with Jason?
Yes. Hello, Deputy. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Hey, I got a quick cut. Sorry, it's been a long day. I've been talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And those words got stuck. So I got a couple quick questions for you right now.
Yes.
What is your relationship with?
Just a former friend and business associate. We had a falling out on October 13th, and he's been completely silent, off the internet, which is very unlike him. He's normally making multiple social media posts per day. And the reason I called today is that I've been being inundated from people saying, Jason, you're the only one who knows his phone number. Call him and find out if everything is all right. Called his house, called his father, called his cell phone, and there's been no answer for many days. I called his daughter, and she basically said she hasn't spoken to him in years, and then advised that I call the police and do a wellness check.
Okay. So other than just being what sounds like a former friend and business associate, yeah, there's no romantic relationship or family relations in any way or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
Why?
And there's no other reason. And there's no other reason to that. He's wasn't ill with anything. Anything that's terminal that has to be concerned about.
No.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing with a lot of that. Right now people have the right to be left alone, and if he's not making posts on the internet or not wanting to answer your calls, that's his prerogative of what to do. That doesn't necessarily mean he's fallen ill will or is in trouble of anything. His
father is 91, and he lives with his father, and he also is not answering the phone. So if anything has happened to him, something might have happened to his father. I mean, if you've spoken to him and he's all right, fine. I don't need to know what's going on with him. There's just a million people up my ass on the internet like, oh, you have an obligation, Jason, to... Because he fancies himself some kind of genius who's figuring out all kinds of things, and that, people are concerned that he's been kidnapped because he was revealing, this kind of nonsense.
Okay. All right. Well...
I mean, if you're under some legal obligation to, if you saw him and he said, tell Jason to fuck himself and don't tell him what's going on with me, I understand. That's fine. You don't have any obligation to tell me anything. But, I mean, is that what's going on? Have you been there, or you're saying you just don't have time to check on him?
Well, I mean, right now it's just like with him just not answering a phone or posting anything on the internet, for us to do a welfare check,
it's mostly the father. It's mostly the 91-year-old father that I'm concerned about, because 91 seems like grounds enough for, if he's not answering the phone and the daughter doesn't know what's going on, I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you don't have time, totally fine. I'm not trying to force you to do anything. I'm just, answering the calls of a million idiots on the internet who are telling me I have a moral obligation to do this. I mean, frankly, if the guy's dead on the floor in his house, there's nothing I can do about it, and there's nothing I'm going to do about it.
Right, and I'll tell you this, too. We go up and we knock on the door. There's no answer, and all the windows and everything's shut up tight where we can't see in, where we don't have the emergency circumstances or exigent circumstances to enter. Right. We just walk away. It's like, okay, there's no answer at the door.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So
that's what it comes down to.
Is that the end of the interaction with police, or you're telling me you're just not going to check? It's not adequate grounds to check?
Right now, yeah, this is pretty much the end of the conversation right here.
But is it that it's not adequate grounds to check, or you've checked and he told me to fuck off?
Yeah, it's not adequate enough for us to sit there and check, because right now you have no direct relationship with him. You haven't spoken to him since October,
Yeah.
and it sounds like he's totally like ghosted you because you guys had a falling out of some kind.
It's not just me, it's that he's disappeared from the internet. That's the part that's very unusual, because his entire business is based on posting a weekly podcast on the internet and daily updates on that. And he hasn't done that for, I mean, it's almost as like if he owned a restaurant and it just closed unexpectedly and nobody showed up there for 2 months. It is suspicious.
Okay.
But that's it. All right.
No, I get it and understand that. But right now, yeah, it's not enough for us to go check and bother him if nothing's wrong.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye. Cops don't care. Interesting, right? So, I mean, look. Oh, by the way, I didn't realize, what is this, the Odd Fellows? I didn't realize Nashville was so Masonic. William Walker was the gray-eyed man of destiny. Born May 8th, 1824, Walker moved to this site from 6th Avenue North in 1840. In early life, he was doctor, lawyer, and journalist. He invaded Mexico in 1853 with 46 men and proclaimed himself president of the Republic of Lower California. He led a force into Nicaragua in 1855 and was elected its president in 1856. In an attempt to wage war on Honduras, he was captured and executed. That's so weird. So, I mean, what is this one Nashville with the Masonic eyeball? But the cops, they called me back that day, and not only did they not care, they said it's just not even sufficient grounds for them to go over there. So I felt like I had satisfied this obligation that various strangers on the internet felt that I had to inform the public about John, the pseudonymous fake John Cullen, you know, his whereabouts and everything. And I basically forgot about it. I'm pretty sure after that, I don't even think I attempted to contact him again. We'd have to go back and check. I could be wrong, but I don't think I did. I recall just forgetting about the whole thing and moving on. I had other more important things to do, but then the strangest thing yet happened. And this next thing, this is what caused me to go on this nationwide road trip to figure out what the hell is going on, because it has been quite an effort, hell of a lot of driving, a lot of money. If you've enjoyed it, please become a sponsor on subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or you could follow me on X at JG_CSTT. Subscribe there and become a sponsor. You're going to get access to sponsor exclusive content, and you help pay for interesting and exciting trips like this. But the strangest thing happened. I got a text message from, oh no, that's not it. Wait, there was another text message. I got a text, that's a text message from his daughter. It wasn't later that day. This was 8 days later or more. Yeah, no, that phone call from the second cop, I think, was like November 30th, something like that. And then on December 8th, like a solid 8-10 days later, I got this text message. Can people see that? It says, "Good afternoon, this is Officer," I've redacted the officer's name to further protect Cullen's identity, because, you know, people might get the idea that they'll look up that cop and figure out where he is. This is Officer Blank with the Blank Police Department. I was trying to, I think he meant to write reach out to Jason. This is concerning his friend, and he put Cullen's real name there. Can you please give me a call back or text when available? Thank you. So this really caught my attention, because I don't know, I never got a text from the cops before, and there were other things about the phone number that it came to. It was very, very, very strange to get that text message. And I did call back the number that the cops left, and the guy wasn't answering. I texted it back, I called it back. I was like, well, this is weird. Why is the guy now not getting back to me? So I called back to the cops. Let's give a listen to that. This is going to blow your mind.
You have reached the police department. Please hold for the next available dispatcher.
Can I help you?
Yeah, hi. I got a phone call yesterday from Officer regarding my friend who I had called about like a week ago, and they told, well, I don't know, is it possible to speak to Officer? I don't know what the nature of his call was, but he said it was about.
Yeah, of course. Hold on just a moment. I'll transfer you over.
Thanks.
This is Officer.
Officer, it's Jason Goodman returning your call about.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's been resolved, so yeah, I don't need any more assistance anymore on that.
Can you tell me what the nature of it was?
I cannot.
You cannot. But
No.
is he alive?
I'm not going to tell you anything about it right now.
You can't tell me anything about him. Can you tell me what you were calling about?
Just if you had heard from him.
I have not. That's the thing. I had called, I guess not the police, I had called a different police department because I used to work with him and we had a falling out on October 13th, and now nobody has heard from him since October 13th. I called his daughter. I've been calling his father.
But what I would suggest is after the falling out, perhaps you should just not be trying to contact him at all.
Well, why? What do you mean?
And that's what I would recommend, is that you not try to contact him at all.
Has he told
Right.
you to tell me to
I'm
not?
not going to tell you anything about it.
So-
Just so you know that there could be harassment if you're trying to reach out to someone that doesn't want to be reached out to.
But he hasn't told
so
me
I
not
would
to reach
recommend-
out to him. How could
I'm
it be?
telling you that I would not reach out to him or try to reach out to anyone around him.
Has he called you and told you that I'm harassing him? Has his daughter?
Questions, I'm not going to answer any questions on that.
So wait a second. Trying to
Right.
contact someone who I know is not harassment unless they've got an order of protection against me.
No.
You called me. What?
If they do not want to be contacted, and if you guys had a falling out, and then you're actively trying to contact him or his friends or family, and he's obviously not reaching out, then that might be an indication that he does not want to be reached.
You don't know the nature of what happened between he and I, and unless
I don't
he's
need to know. I recommend that you do not try to reach out to him.
what kind of recommendation is that? You called me to tell me not to reach out
Yes.
to him. Is there an order of protection
And
against
now
me?
it's resolved, and I do not need any more information. All right?
What kind of way is this to interact with the public?
With the public. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I'm just giving you a recommendation, is to not reach out to him or to anyone of his
Are
loved
you
ones, like his
threatening
family
me,
or
officer?
friends or-
I need to understand the nature of what it is that you're telling me, because you see, you don't know what went on
telling
between
you
he
that
and... What?
And I don't know. I don't need to know.
So why
If
are you
someone doesn't
telling me
wanna be
not to
reached
reach out to him? How do you know he doesn't want to be reached out? He could be dead on the floor in his house.
Okay, well, that's none of your business if he is or not.
What are you talking about? Why not?
Because you're not his next of kin, you're not his family, so you don't need to know that.
I'm a friend of his. I have a right to know if he's dead in his house.
You don't know if that's true or not anymore. So I would highly, like I said, recommend that you do not reach out to him, because if you would keep trying to reach out to someone that obviously does not want to reach back.
What are you saying obviously doesn't want to reach back? You have no idea what's going on between me and him, and you are a third party. You can't tell me not to contact someone. You're a police officer.
I'm not telling you, I'm highly recommending, which is why I keep using that word.
Has he filed an order of protection against me?
I'm not going to answer that.
I haven't been served with one, so obviously he hasn't. I called his daughter. She spoke to me. She got back in touch with me. She didn't tell me not to contact her.
Okay, well, I'm just saying I highly recommend that you do not try to contact him.
This feels like a threat.
Any other questions?
Yes. Why are the police
not done.
recommending to me that I don't contact someone that I know and not providing me any further information? I'm not even sure.
This would be in general.
Being
Is that
generous?
I tell you, I would tell anyone, if I'm trying to reach out to someone that I had a falling out with, and there's no way I can reach out to them, and they have not indicated that that falling out has, evolved into something like a friendship again or whatever, or maybe where.
What do you know? I just told you there was a falling out. What did you know about it before that?
You told me there was a falling out, and like I would recommend.
I told him not to contact me anymore, and so I'm not allowed to reach out to him. He didn't tell me not to contact him.
But you told him not to contact you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you know how absurd that sounds, but all right, I'm going to hang up.
What do you mean
All
you
right?
don't know? What do you even mean? How absurd
I
that
told you
sounds.
I'm going to hang up. I'm already on another call for service, so I need to respond to
What
this
was the
thing
nature
right
of you calling me?
I was seeing if you had heard from him.
Why?
It's none of your business, all right?
You called me. How is it none of my business?
I'm going to hang up now, okay?
I think I might have to
We've
sue the police department and you for harassing me. Then we'll find out the nature of the call.
Okay, well,
you're harassing me with what you're saying right now. I'm going to look into the legality of
I'm
what you've
telling
done here, officer.
Get up right now, all right?
You're a very weird guy. You're probably going to speak to me again at some point in the future. Can people believe that? What that guy was saying to me? So obviously, feels like home.
Yeah, you're right.
So obviously that was quite strange. And, after that phone call, I did a FOIA request with the police to try to find out, why did this cop call me 8 days later to tell me not to contact him? I'm pretty sure I hadn't been contacting him, but like I said, even if I was, if you call the police and say, hey, go call up my former friend who I got into an argument with and tell him not to call me anymore, they're going to tell you to piss off and go down and file an order of protection, get a petition for a restraining order. And only after that's been fulfilled, ordered by a judge, will the cops do anything to the person. Honky tonk. That place is going crazy. It's the live music scene here in Nashville. Look at that. Jason Aldean's kitchen and rooftop. What could be more appropriate? I didn't even know that was there. I didn't even know Jason Aldean had a restaurant. But here we are talking about Cullen, and there's Jason Aldean. See, that's what I mean. I don't like doing a lot of research before I come and do a video like this. I just prefer to do it and then come out here and see what we see. I find that much more interesting. But there were so many strange things that cop said. I said, oh, well, he could be dead on the floor. And they said, well, we don't know if that's true anymore. And I was like, what? So after that phone call, I presumed something really bad had happened to Cullen, because that's the only reason that guy's wearing number 33. I presume that to be the only reason that the cops wouldn't tell me, you know, like maybe he was dead, and because I wasn't family or, you know, buggering him, I wasn't close enough to hear from the cops. This is a noisy town. Wild. Here's the drunk multi-person bicycle. Get hammered and ride around town in that. This is a really, really crazy town. Yeah, so it was after that phone call that I decided to make this road trip to definitively figure out, do it New York style here. Just cross the street whenever. This is actually quite sensible. Have these metal posts to prevent people from getting crashed into by cars. So this is the drunk part of town. But yeah, so I filed a FOIA request with that police department, and it came back so quickly, like on a Saturday or a Sunday night. I almost felt like that officer must have gotten it and kicked it out. Because the weirdest thing that cop said to me was when I said, I told Cullen not to contact me. And he stopped and he said, do you have any idea how absurd that sounds? And I was thinking, what the hell are you talking about? That's exactly the fact of what happened. So I don't care how it sounds. Oh, look at that.
Just like Gene and Roy. Are we YouTubing? What are we doing?
I don't know about we, but I am.
You are.
You've sort of intruded.
I'm intruding.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
You never know what these people are going to say, and that dude just walked up and invited himself onto the show, reeking of booze. So, I didn't really like his approach. Oh yeah, there's a new Nissan Stadium being built. This isn't it. Now, how the hell do I get back to where I'm trying to go here? I think I gotta go this way. Look at that. Is it a Cadillac? Yeah. The thing is like scraping the bottom. Oh, we got a whole lineup of lowriders or whatever. All that guy's friends drive a lowrider. Yeah, so the cops said that there's nothing in response to my FOIA request. And that when he said that I had no idea how absurd that sounds, that I had told Cullen not to contact me, that led me to believe that perhaps Cullen had lied to the police. I still don't know what he said to the police. But I have seen Cullen. He hasn't been captured. He hasn't been kidnapped. He's not hanging out with Tulsi Gabbard. I feel like I'm going far away from where I'm trying to be and walking around in circles. Oh, there's the Freemasons Lodge over there again. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to share with everybody today about the pseudonymous super troll known as Cullen. I think we're getting close to the end of this series. I wanted to let everybody know and understand why I chose to go to the lengths of making this huge effort to figure out what's going on. It was really primarily that phone call from the cops that convinced me I needed to do this, figure out what the hell is going on. I think down here is where I want to be. There's going to be one final episode, and I'm going to make that a sponsor exclusive. That will be the episode in which I reveal what it is that everybody's been asking for. Some of these nameless internet trolls who could be legitimate people, could be Cullen, could be other social engineers. They're like, you don't have proof that you've spoken to Cullen. I don't need proof. I have evidence. People will decide if it's proof. And by the way, people don't understand the difference between evidence and proof. And I don't understand why anonymous internet accounts think that I owe them something. When people tune in to the next episode of Where is Cullen, it's going to be a sponsor exclusive show. So please become a sponsor on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. It'll also be made available to people who follow me on X at JG_CSTT and subscribe there, and you will see the interaction between myself and Mr. Cullen, the evidence that I believe is proof. It's unequivocal proof that I spoke to him. Frankly, the additional evidence that I spoke to him are the things that I've been explaining to everyone. My testimony that I spoke to him, that's evidence. You don't have to trust me. I don't ever tell anybody to trust me. Of course, you don't know me. People who do know me and have been watching, I believe, do trust that I wouldn't say that I've spoken to Cullen if I hadn't. And by the way, I started this series after I knew where he was. Because initially I was just pushing back saying, like, look, there's no evidence that he's missing. There's evidence that he hasn't posted on the internet. If someone had a news report where a local news station reported that, I'm not going to use his real name, but that person had been kidnapped or was reported as missing, that would be evidence. If his daughter or his father reached out to one of the people that he interacted with through social media and said, have you spoken to him? That might be evidence that he was missing, but none of that happened, and none of that was evidence that he was missing. I have proof that he's not missing as of 2 weeks ago, and it strongly supports the other evidence that I've had since the beginning, that everybody saying that he is missing is either completely ignorant, totally misinformed, or a social engineer. Anyway, that's all for today, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day. Adios from Nashville.